is Dwayne today. Well, it's my name is Dwayne.
My name is Jasmine.
We're Dwayne and Jazz. Today we have for you the Game Theorist, Game Theory. Resident Evil Zombie Outbreak is closer than you think.
We're playing this game right now. We're playing Resident Evil 2.
If you don't know, we have separate gaming channels that we do play various games together and separately. So you guys can check that out. That's in the link description below. If you guys have any reaction requests, please follow us on all our. Where the?
Who's on the side of the couch?
Yeah, make sure you just follow us on social medias, man. And don't like the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new.
I know it's that far. That's why I was like, where is it?
Where are you going? Okay, let's get.
Oh, the liquors.
Oh,
hate them.
No matter who they were, you can't hesitate. Take them out if you can.
That's Marvin.
Oh, I didn't kill him yet.
Me either.
I don't think I'm going to. Oh, is that the tofu?
Yeah, it's a tofu.
Oh, it's tofu.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the only show online that could believably do an episode dedicated to the real-world possibilities of giant sapient tofu.
I do want to play as that, though.
Because guess what? Resident Evil 2 is back. And with it, Capcom is sponsoring
I love that
episode.
game.
Which means it's time to look at how the zombie apocalypse they created in-game is much closer to being real now than it ever was.
Wow.
When the game first launched in 1998.
Yeah, I was 4. There was no way I was playing that
One of
game.
history's most iconic horror games from the ground up.
Oh, that
In
was-
this process, they've kept all the best parts while shaving away, some
the
of
bad
less
parts.
good parts of early 3D gaming. Out with the old tank
the
controls
one-shots.
and in the over-the-shoulder camera that revolutionized the series back in RE4. Out with the scariest polygons 1998 could muster, and in with new 4K photorealistic
Liquors are
visuals that
so
take these
annoying.
unforgettable, spine-tingling moments into the modern era, all while still telling the iconic stories of Leon and Claire. One's a rookie cop having a bad case of the Mondays. The other is remarkably casual considering the horrific death around her.
Well, I mean, she's looking for her brother. That was the whole reason she was there.
Even when surrounded by zombie hordes, Claire is out to get that man. And you see, that's
And
what
she
I've
was
always
flirting. She
loved
was
about
flirting.
The characters and their stories. Leon on his first day, Claire trying to find her brother, a piece of tofu just trying to get by, all wrapped around this bigger conspiracy of a science experiment gone horrifically wrong. A super serum going off the rails causing a viral outbreak that throws the entirety of Raccoon City into chaos. So now that I'm older and I get to dissect these sorts of things for a living, I wanted to ask the question that young MadPat always wanted to know.
Is it possible?
Just how close to reality are we to a real Resident Evil style outbreak? Are the T and G viruses that we see transforming people into undead monsters the work of science fiction or science fact? I mean, science has changed a lot.
But we're preparing for the zombie apocalypse.
We are.
We're doing that right now.
Healing sprays in the hopes of not being made into Jill sandwiches? Let's find out. So, the Resident Evil series is actually titled Biohazard. In Japan, as the name Biohazard suggests, these games revolve around creation
Wow, I didn't know that.
of agents that turn people into monsters.
So it's Resident Evil 7 Biohazard was Resident Evil.
By the
Biohazard.
Corporation to create bioorganic weapons that can be sold off to the highest bidder. But before we explore the viruses themselves, let's actually start with Umbrella. Looking at the history of the company, their work in biological weapons actually begins with a mission to collect all the deadly viruses in the world.
Yeah, of course.
They're kind of like a Pokemon trainer.
Yeah.
So the Pikachu and Eevee, they're capturing
viruses.
Ebola and smallpox. And it's here that we actually get our first disturbing crossover with reality. You see, in the game, the sort of bioweapon collection that Umbrella is doing is banned due to a treaty from the United Nations called the 1972
Biowarfare
Biological Weapons Convention, which outlaws countries developing or stockpiling biological agents
to
be
kill
used
us.
as weapons. In the game, the loophole that Umbrella finds is collecting the viruses under the guise of researching cures for them. Funny thing about all that, though, is that none of it is fiction. The Biological Weapons Convention we see in Resident Evil is a real pact that really governs most of the world.
Wow.
In the U.S. And it was during the Nixon administration that the U.S. was forced to destroy its offensive
Looks like I'm watching Shane all over again. Oh my god.
Well, I mean, that's not really too far-fetched. Like, it's shocking, but it's not really that shocking to me. Like they could just take whatever disease they want and just like, you know.
Because I heard that
plague somebody.
This is all hearsay, but like the Spanish flu, one of the most deadliest flu, killed I'm not sure, maybe 400 million people.
Was done on purpose.
No, not done on purpose, but was like stored somewhere.
Well, yeah, to release it at any time that they want to.
Sheesh.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We may be
population
wrong.
control. Anyway, that's that one. All right.
Biological weaponry. But just like we see in the game, certain deadly biological agents still exist purely under the guise of research. Smallpox is a great example of this exact
because it
movement.
once
You see, smallpox is a
existed.
deadly disease with a 30% mortality rate.
Sheesh.
And was the first ever disease to be eradicated off the face of the planet thanks to science.
Thank God.
Despite
But
its total
they can
eradication
still
from
have
the
it.
face of planet Earth, 2 stocks of the disease still exist.
Wow.
One in the US and one in Russia. The
Right.
rationale, further research. Just like we see Umbrella
Further
argue
research,
in
even
the
though
game,
they
only
got
here,
rid of it.
the scientific community is heavily divided on whether there's anything we can actually learn by keeping these things around. That's
Too valuable?
Umbrella Corps'
No.
first major success, if you can call
Get rid of
designing
it.
viral
Get rid of it.
point in the win column, is the creation of the T-virus, a bioweapon specifically engineered
Isn't that
to
the tyrant
infect and
one?
eliminate massive
I don't know what the T
populations.
stands for.
It ends up achieving this goal by turning everyone into a zombie. Shortly thereafter came the Golgotha virus, where
Yeah, the
the
G-virus.
G-virus was
G-virus.
introduced in RE2 and comes with a different goal. Rapid cell growth, giving the injectee a kind of biological immortality. But too much, and
you turn into a monster,
It's
yep.
the G-virus that's responsible for creating the horrific mutant that constantly
William.
threatens
William
your life
Birkins,
throughout the
yep.
entirety of Resident Evil 2.
Lord.
Just looking at you, buddy.
Just
Now,
found
before we
today.
get to Zombie
Oh,
or super
please.
growth, half of these things, let's take a minute to stop and look at the actual viral components first. You see, viruses are fascinating. One of the most interesting things about them is that they're tiny even when you compare them to cells, the smallest form of life. And I hear
Wow.
people thinking, if cells are the smallest form of life and viruses are smaller than that, then are viruses alive? It's a good
Yes,
question, and the answer
kinda.
is technically not. Viruses
I would
do
think they
have
were.
DNA, but they don't have the biological hardware.
Oh, they don't have the
required to
nucleus and
reproduce.
things like
instead,
that.
They have to rely
Okay.
on hijacking living cells to
So like
reproduce.
parasites.
They inject
Parasites,
living
yeah.
cell with their own DNA. That DNA then modifies the DNA of the cell, and it creates copies of the virus.
Ugh, that just looks.
They're
Ooh.
actually kind of like zombies in that way.
Yeah.
So viruses and zombies seem alive, but they're really
They're not.
They require infecting other living creatures to reproduce. So Umbrella Corps' choice of a viral zombie outbreak is surprisingly fitting. But none of this is answering the question of whether a real-life virus could cause the kind of mindless hordes that we see from the T-virus, or the
It
extreme
might.
mutations that you get with the
Yeah.
G-virus. The answers here, though, are again yes and yes. Let's take a look at them one at a time. First, it's important to note that the zombies created by the T-virus aren't your typical reanimated dead. If they were, there's
Special
no way
dead.
a virus, or anything for that matter, could replicate what we see in the game. But there's already a real-world virus that, through some tweaking, could very easily fit the bill as a real-world stand-in for the
What?
T-virus. And that's rabies. Just like zombies,
Oh,
the
yeah.
viruses
yes.
pass through infected saliva.
Yeah.
They surely
One
can.
player can take a bite or two and not get infected because saliva infection is far from perfect and has a high miss ratio. Rabies, the same way. And that's far from the only similarity. Rabies absolutely infects animals and causes them to become
poor
more
doggy.
aggressive, which matches perfectly with the infected dogs that we see throughout
Man, oh my
Resident
God, I
Evil.
had to look
Yes.
it up.
It's not
Yes.
just limited to dogs either.
I lit them on
All
fire
species can be
in my
infected
game.
with the rabies virus. The virus is even adapted to grow in the cells of cold-blooded vertebrates too. And in one of those classic moves that make you go, what were they thinking? Humans even infected birds with the stuff. You know,
Yeah.
just for the heck of it. So the
Just
next
to
time
see
you
what
see infected
happens.
alligators or bats attacking you in the bowels of Raccoon City, rest assured as you drink
Oh, Lord, I hate seeing that.
Right.
is entirely plausible. And when a human is infected, some of the symptoms that we see line up perfectly with behavior we see in Resident Evil's zombie horde. Partial paralysis, which would explain the shambling, brain inflammation, which would cause the mental impairment,
To be
even
brain
the
dead.
hunger and desire to bite. You see, rabies infects the central nervous system in 3 stages: prodromal, excitative, and paralytic. But it's
Wow.
that
Oh,
second stage,
excitative.
known as the quote-unquote furious stage, where the host becomes hyper reactive and more prone to biting. In fact, rabies is almost always transmitted through bites, which is why it causes the infected host to turn aggressive. It's forcing the host's nervous system to pass the rabies virus along.
Bite it off.
Tricky, you scary infectious virus. But in an ironic twist, that's also one of the main things that holds it back from causing a true zombie outbreak. You see, in-game, we see the T-virus primarily spread through bites and injections, which perfectly lines up with rabies. However, there's a third option. Water. Both the Markley Dam and the Raccoon Sewage Treatment Plant were contaminated with the virus,
and
which
then
led
people
to
drunk
the water supply rapidly spreading it and infecting.
So if you had to bite each person, it would take a while.
Viruses can absolutely be spread that way. SARS, hepatitis, even polio.
Oh, that's what
viruses.
that's what my dog Cassie has.
Makes its way down into
SARS.
that water runs up back in your mouth, and boom, you're on a one-way trip to Infection Village, Population U. The trick, though, is that rabies isn't one of those sorts of viruses. It's not waterborne. It's not airborne either.
Can't catch it.
Primarily bite-borne, which limits its ability to infect large amounts of the
it'll take a
population.
very,
However,
very
that's
long
not
time.
to say that it isn't possible to change that. You see, viruses can be specially engineered. According to Samita Andriansky, a virologist at the University of Miami's Miller School of Medicine, quote, "Sure, I could imagine a scenario where you mix rabies with a flu virus to get airborne transmission.
Oh my
Measles
God.
virus to get personality changes. The encephalitis virus to cook your brain with fever, thus increase your aggression even further, and throw in the Ebola virus to cause you to bleed from
Just
your
kill
guts.
us.
Combine
How about
all
that?
these things, and you'll get something like a zombie virus."
Oh my goodness gracious.
So the long story short here is that with medicine where we are today,
You gotta mix
should
all of that
umbrella
to get those
fuse
zombies.
together rabies with the traits of other viruses that are waterborne, you'd pretty much have the T virus ready to go. Could a virus possibly cause mutations like the ones we see throughout this game? Well, look no further than epidermodysplasia verruciformis.
What? Is that a spell?
Say that.
And if you're in any way squeamish or sensitive to scary imagery,
Oh, I'm not.
you might want to hang out for a bit in the comments right now. Strike up a
I'm not. Let's
conversation,
look
make a
at
new
it.
friend. Everyone
You said, when is it safe? It says skip to 11 minutes and 30 seconds. I saw that.
Oh,
It's a rare
yeah.
genetic disorder that causes people to be vulnerable to
Saw that on Twitter.
papillomavirus in the skin. You may have referred to these as HPVs. Well, that V is for
Viruses.
These
Wow.
viruses
Yeah.
can cause skin tumors that resemble horns or have the texture of wood or coral. It's basically warts that grow horrifically out of control. That
Yeah.
being said, though, there may be an even closer real-world parallel that's not strictly speaking a virus, but rather virus
Mutation.
The G virus, just like the T before it, was not initially created with the intention of transforming people into hideous monsters. The G virus instead was meant to improve
Shaggy.
genetics, to give us a sort of biological immortality,
goodness.
basically advancing us to the next stage of human evolution. While this quest to genetically engineer our cells into some kind of death-proof life form might seem like the kind of stuff from science fiction,
Like
it
the Hulk.
actually has parallels to a real-world technology that works in a way similar to the way
I remember
real-life
seeing that in the little
viruses
Jimmy
do.
Neutron
Remember when I
episode.
said that a virus can inject a cell with its own DNA? Well, there's also a process where the cell will, as part of a method for fighting viruses in the future, actually store that virus's DNA
Store
in
it
a
away.
blank part of the DNA sequence. That way it doesn't infect itself, but it also remembers it for
Remembers
a time
that
it encounters that
for later
same
on.
sequence. The DNA sequence that stores this viral information is called CRISPR, clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats. Super sexy name, I know. If you're a regular viewer of film theory, I've actually mentioned this briefly before when we talked about Luke Cage's super skin. Technically speaking, the CRISPR process is not a virus. It inserts a DNA sequence into the cell the same way a
so much
virus's
science.
DNA would, essentially hijacking that part of the cell that's designed to react to viruses, and then from there it modifies the DNA of the cell, leaving behind an altered sequence that'll go on to replicate blah blah blah, etc.
A whole bunch.
TLDR, this procedure works the same way that a virus does, basically. CRISPR
Thank you.
uses
Long
a mix
story
of
short.
CRRNA, which naturally occurs, and tracer RNA.
I remember those actually.
No, not that tracer.
I said I'm already Tracer.
Oh,
I said
no.
tracer RNA.
I'm already RNA.
Anyway, the whole mechanism is
Lord.
called tracer RNA, CRRNA chimera, but that's a real mouthful, so instead they just shorten it to, get this, guide RNA. Or more commonly, gRNA.
Oh, as in G
So
virus.
it's a bit similar to G virus, don't you think? Maybe Capcom just wanted to shorten nuclease complex with a synthetic gRNA to just G virus.
I mean, that would make it more
It's especially
simple.
impressive considering
Yeah.
that Resident Evil 2 came out 17 years before this real-world technology was even developed. Good on you guys for predicting the future. But
Or they already
here's the
had.
kicker. The first successful
Secretly.
experiments using CRISPR for genetic enhancement has already been done on animals in China. They've created a beagle with double the amount of muscle mass as a normal beagle. And get ready because tests of CRISPR on humans are already rolling out.
I already know it
Chinese
is.
Scientists genetically
That's why they're
babies
practicing on
using
other
the
things
exact
other
same
than
method.
humans.
2 girls who apparently survived the experiment are now living with their mom and dad. This experiment has drawn widespread criticism from other geneticists and ethics boards who are worried
That
that
wasn't
this
too
might
far,
be too
no.
much too soon, with the quote off-target effects brought by CRISPR as their primary concern.
I wouldn't mess with it,
AKA, maybe tampering
but, you know.
with gene editing is a bit new and a bit dangerous and might cause some weird unexpected mutations, just
Correct.
like we see happen in Resident Evil.
I say let things come naturally.
A Connecticut-based immunologist at Jackson Laboratory was asked about whether this kind of technology would pave the way for genetic enhancement. His response was, quote, "Oh, that's gonna happen for sure. At the military level, you can imagine you want to create super soldiers that can withstand all
of course
kinds
they can. A
diseases
Captain
and
America.
tough weather and carry
Yeah.
hundreds
Luke
of
Cage.
kilograms. These
The
were
Master
science
Chief.
fiction, but now we have the tools that could enable them." End
Whoa.
quote. Sounds eerily similar to the kinds of things the Umbrella
See, this is why we are
Corporation was
preparing right
experimenting
now.
with throughout the
This is
Resident
exactly
Evil
why.
series. So there you go, friends. Back in 1998, the premise of stockpiling and engineering viruses to create genetically enhanced humans was the stuff of fantasies or hugely successful
my
sci-fi
God.
horror video game franchises. But today,
Yeah, I remember I had to fight the
Resident
person on the
Evil is far
bus.
more realistic than I think any of us could have ever imagined back then. And in the end, isn't that now the scariest part of these games? But hey, that's just a
Oh, the game does leave you feeling like that. Like as soon as you get through a hard part, you're like, whoo!
Boy, when I was running out with Mr. X, bro. Oh my
goodness
god.
gracious.
Well, no, that.
Mr. X was so annoying
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah,
I'll be
boots.
like, you'll hear the boots, but it's like you go to a completely different section. Like you run from him on the first floor main hall where you see Marvin at and stuff. You go all the way upstairs to the 3rd floor, and then
All of
he
a sudden,
magically appears right there. Like I went up there in my gameplay, and then he was nowhere to be found. All of a
Right.
sudden, I'm trying to go to a door. He just pops out that door and comes down. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, how did you even get here? Because I didn't even get to that section
Right.
yet. So how did you get there?
Yeah, he's
How did you
he's-
appear there?
He's pretty scary. But now that's
my God.
that's what you know that's this after seeing this I'm scared.
We always thought that some type of thing was gonna happen, whether it be like people getting a virus and we're all infected, or they turn into zombies, or some type of apocalyptic something happening.
warfare, yeah.
That definitely is caused by like cells.
People
and viruses.
harboring
'Cause
smallpox.
they are. I know they are. Yeah, they're definitely holding on to some viruses. I wouldn't be surprised if they're holding on to like the Black Plague or something like that. Some deep down somewhere, and
Yeah.
just waiting to unleash it on us.
Right, or trying
So-
to manipulate it to create a super soldier.
Yeah.
Or something
You see
like
what they're doing
that.
with robots right now.
Right, you see them create
Robots get knocked down and know
Transformers.
how to get up
Right.
and know how to open up a door, and if somebody's like pushing against it, knows how to combat against that, and
Right.
look up on their little AI thing to figure out how to like I
And then
gotta
you got
be
the big giant mega robots.
yeah,
that
that
is-
flips.
No, I'm talking about like the
Jump and
big ones.
everything.
Did you see the big one that looked like Iron Man's?
Oh, I think,
Hulkbuster?
yeah.
They
Yeah.
sitting there making Hulkbusters.
Scary.
Well, anyway, oh
It's
man.
scary.
Comment below. Tell us what you think.
Don't forget to like
Subscribe.
and share.
Yes,